Okay, so in today's video about Algorand, I want to check out this move on the downside and followed by that this small bounce back and see what are the structures in here in terms of Elliott waves, and can we come up with a bullish and also a bearish possibility at the same time, and which one is going to be my primary case. So with that said, hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're having a great time with your family and loved ones, and let's go on 15-minute chart. Okay, so if you remember, the last time that we talked about algo, I think we were somewhere around these areas, and I was saying, if you want to be optimistic in Algorand and you want to say this is actually a bullish setup, then probably your best shot at finding an impulse in here is going to be if you say this is 1, 2, and then we're going to have another move up into wave 3, 4, 5. And on a higher degree, this is going to be probably into a larger degree wave 3, correction for 4, another move up into wave 5. And basically, I said you need to see a strong move on the upside in Algorand in order to get out of this area ASAP. So what happened? Definitely not that scenario. And that kind of did confirm what I initially thought about Algorand when we got this move on the downside. So here's the deal. You see, in my opinion, it is possible to find an impulsive structure in this area, but it's not going to be my primary case. My primary scenario suggests we are probably dealing with a WXY in this area, probably in form of a double zigzag. And here is our first ABC on the upside into wave W, correction for wave X, and another ABC zigzag up into our wave Y. The structures, as you can see in here, unfortunately for a correction, are quite clear. Now, before this WXY, I think we talked about this also in the previous video. We may have, unfortunately, another 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down into wave 3, correction for 4 to about this point maybe, and followed by that another move down into wave 5. You can also say maybe this is going to be like the end of our wave 3, correction for 4, probably in that case in form of a triangular structure, and another move down into wave 5 to about this point, and from here going up we had in this phase a correction structure. Doesn't really matter. The point is, according to, again, this is just for me, according to my primary case, we probably have 5 wave down, correction up, which is unfortunately a bit of a bearish setup in Algorand, suggesting we may see another trip on the downside in order to visit the lows in here once more about, let's say, like 20 to about 21.5 cents. Is it going to be the worst sign in the world? In my opinion, no. Why is that? Because in terms of classic TA, meaning support and resistances, we are having in here a very important support from weekly and daily time frame at the same time. And as long as we are staying above it and we're not getting a complete break of it, we are actually good to go up. So, for example, in algo, we can have in the next couple of days a move down in order to take this low, but not get a break of this level, and then we can have our bounce back. And the shape of this thing for me is really going to be the most important point. And if we're going to have on our bounce back phase a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, followed by that a correction and structure down, fair enough, that's going to be a very optimistic sign, suggesting in Algorand we have probably hit some sort of a bottom. But for now, I would like to argue that we are having a correction starting from this point, and sure, we may see another move up, something like this in algo, but at that point I'm gonna argue then this whole move is going to be a corrective movement, and then once more I'm gonna say we are probably going to get another move down. Also, another not necessarily optimistic sign in terms of classic trends is this is a trend line, and how many times are we touching it? 1, 2, 3 times. This, in my opinion, is not a good sign. And if you are a trend line trader, you probably know that by the 3rd or 4th time that we are touching a trend line, at that point, we should actually count on getting a break of it and not a bounce back off of it. So, unfortunately, this, in my books at least, I know my opinion is probably different than a lot of other people, is kind of a bearish sign. And by the way, I actually forgot to tell you, this definitely is not a head and shoulder structure, because I think I saw a post on Twitter that said this is a head and shoulder in Algorand, and by the break of the neckline we can actually go to somewhere around 5 cents. This is simply not the case. Why is that? You see, if you want to argue that we are going to actually have a bearish head and shoulder structure, okay, fair enough. Before this head and shoulder, you need to see a solid, sustainable uptrend. Do we have that in algo or not? As you can see, we definitely don't. Before this supposedly head and shoulder, we had a move on the downside. So this is absolutely not a valid pattern. And finally, let's talk about the bullish possibility, because I told you before, I'm trying to be in every video objective. So I'm going to give you a bullish and also at the same time a bearish scenario. Now, I'm going to tell you right away, this bullish possibility just for like very short term is not going to be, unfortunately, my primary case, because finding an impulse in this region is a bit tricky, and you are going to see why in a minute. I'm gonna say, if you want to be optimistic in algo, this is going to be, yeah, probably to about here, a wave 1, correction for wave 2, another move up into wave 3, correction for 4, another 5 wave up into wave 5, and this move and also this one. If you go on some lower time frames, you are going to realize that are indeed 5 waves on the upside. So if you want to say the bottom is in, this can be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up, and then we are going to argue this whole move down is a correction structure. And yes, I think we can say this is like a WXY in form of a double zigzag. Do I like this scenario? Personally, not as much as the one that suggests in the short term we might actually visit the lows once more, because the subwaves for that possibility made much more sense to me. But again, it doesn't mean that we have to go according to our bearish possibility. This very well might be in play. Now, the question is, what needs to happen in algo that is going to make me say, you know what, maybe this bullish count is in play? I think I talked about this subject in the previous videos, so I'm gonna say it again. In terms of classic technical analysis, I want to see algo getting back above this important level, which is from weekly and daily time frame, and I want to see a consolidation pattern above it and another move up in order to take this high, meaning I want to see a complete break of this very important, right now, let's say, resistance area. And as long as we're not doing that, I am going to be a bit careful in algo. Does this mean that the overall possibility is going to be bearish? No, absolutely not. We talked about this before. I still believe in Algorand. We are having a 1 and a 2, and then after our wave 2 is over, we are going to have a big move up into wave 3, 4, 5, and on a higher degree, we are going to have probably this white 5 wave up as the sub waves for a larger degree wave 3, and then correction for 4, and another big move on the upside into wave 5. So for now, this count, I want to be very clear, in the mid to long term is absolutely not invalidated, and it's definitely in play. But this doesn't mean that in the short term, we have actually hit our final bottom and we are going to go up from here. No, we can definitely have another move on the downside. And for now, at least, I am considering this thing as my primary case. So I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in Algo's charts. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.